details, please, with your hosts, Emmanuel and Angela Williams, where we dive deeper into conversations with visionary entrepreneurs to discover what it takes to turn passion into purpose. Listen to real-world stories from self-starters and trailblazers, and discover strategies and innovations shaping a greener future. Whether you are a seasoned business person or just starting out, let this be your go-to resource for inspiration and actionable tips for success. Join us now as we create a brighter, greener future together.
Welcome to More Details, Please. I'm Angela Williams.
And Emmanuel Williams.
And today we're going to be talking about innovation, how we should preserve it over perfection. I can't even get the word out because there's no perfect situation, right, Emmanuel?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about correcting and learning from your mistakes to be a better you. That's why this topic on innovation is a very important topic today, especially for entrepreneurs. And this podcast is really for entrepreneurs that have the ability to turn their passion into purpose. And we are very excited about the entrepreneur that's going to be on today because she has definitely turned her passion into purpose. And that's what I believe making the world a better place is really all about. It is using your gifts and talents that God has given you and serving a bigger you, serving something that's bigger than yourself, making the world a better place. And that's what this entrepreneur journey is really all about. And I'm really excited to get into the topic that we have for today.
Yeah, so innovation rarely happens overnight. When you hear about overnight successes and all of that, I would say that that is a fantasy. Less than 5% of businesses are actually an overnight success. So this innovation is often a process of testing, learning, and staying the course because we know that progress sometimes can slow down or feel like it's not coming fast enough, but stay the course anyway. Right, Emmanuel?
Yes. And for me, when I was thinking about this topic, I went back to what is innovation? And I think it's very important to be clear about what innovation is because innovation just doesn't apply in your business. Innovation applies in your daily life. Innovation applies with dealing with your kids. Innovation applies with dealing in your personal relationship. Innovation applies in every area of your life. So what I did was I looked up innovation and it says innovation is the ability, is the implementation of new ideas, products, services, or processes to create value, improve efficiency, or solve problems. I'll say that again. Innovation is the implementation of new ideas, products, services, or processes that create value, improve efficiency, and solve problems. And we at Detail Expert, we have this nugget of tool chest where we have these different nuggets of tools where we can go into our toolbox and pull these tools out and give them to people so that they can apply these tools in their lives so that they can improve themselves. Sort of like I'm a power plant engineer. And so when I'm going on a job, it's important for me to have my tool belt. And because I don't know what situation that I'm going to encounter, so I need my gauges, I need my wrenches, and all of the things that I need in order to solve the problem. So at Detail Expert, our toolkit that we have, that we talked about this morning, that we want to share with our listening audience to apply to this topic of innovation is space. Inside our toolkit box, the tool that we're using is space. And space, in that space, we're going to implement design thinking, right? You know, when you look at all of the popular inventors or anybody that came up with ideas, they didn't come up with the idea just out of the thin air. You know, when I look at Einstein and listen to his story, The reason why he was able to invent the things that he was able to invent, and this is a quote that he said, it wasn't because I knew how to think, it was I knew how to not think. I knew how to develop a relationship with space. I knew how to develop a relationship with awareness. And in that space is where me connecting to a deeper part of who I am. And that's where innovation comes from. That's where creativity comes from. That's where the things that people who don't normally think about anything, ideas come that revolutionize the world. And in our toolbox, we're going to talk about space, being quiet, being able to meditate, because that's pretty much what it is. And in that space, we're going to talk about design thinking.
All right, that is heavy. I'm looking forward to that. So today, we're looking forward to welcoming our guest, Heather Elzinga, owner and pastry chef at Crazy Cakeaholics, a business known for show-stopping pastries and creativity that thinks outside of the cake box. But let's talk about how technology comes into play, because I think that's important today. So we're always seeing the highlight reels or the overnight successes, perfect launches, and flawless branding. Well, we know for sure that that did not get there just overnight, because there is trying that went into that, right, Emmanuel?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm really excited to hear Heather's story today, because she's in a pastry baking industry. And that industry is definitely have everything to do with who can be the most creative. And how do you come up with creative solutions when there's so much out there when it comes to baking and pastries and things of that nature? So I'm really, really interested in not only seeing what moves her and what drives her and what causes her to be creative, but the technology that is involved when it comes to baking and pastry, and how she's able to incorporate that technology into her creativity to come up with the product that she come up with.
I saw many of her cake designs on her website, and they are beautiful, which probably means they are delicious. So technology makes it feel like the time is shorter. It may seem like everything happens right away, and you don't see the years of hard work, the mistakes, the late nights that lead to that perfect moment or that perfect business as we see it. Again, there is no such thing as perfection.
Well, that's why I wanted to get into the tool that we're using in our toolkit for today, that we want our listening audience to understand and be able to apply in their life, is space. And I know space is something that is not tangible, it's intangible. It's like you can't see it, taste, touch it, or feel it. And I'll break it down to make it even more simpler. So that's something that is more tangible. Let's talk about meditation, like taking your time to meditate, to be quiet, and to listen to your thoughts, to be aware of your emotions, to be aware of the creativity that's flowing through you, to quiet yourself, to quiet your thoughts. And in that space, we are going to talk about design thinking. Now, design thinking means to have a plan or make decisions about something that is being created or built. I'll say that again. Design thinking is a plan or making decisions about something that is being built or created. So, in this design thinking, when it comes to technology, when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to the way you live your life and how you apply this design thinking as you go about life, I want to talk about it in the sense of not just entrepreneurship, but in relationship. I want to talk about it in terms of not only as a parent, as a neighbor, as a person who live in a community that interact with other people. Design thinking and space and creativity and innovation is a constant process. It's a constant evolution. It's a constant process of you. is a constant process of you growing. And so when I look back on my journey as an entrepreneur, when I think about where I was just say 10 years ago to where I am now, I'm a different person. But a lot of people don't realize that they are different. And it's very important to be different and to realize that you're different in positive ways. You can keep your good positive attributes, but you have to move on and evolve from the things that have been holding you back to preventing you from having the courage to be able to build a kitchen that is incorporated into your home, or your ability to overcome those fears that preventing you from stepping out into your comfort zone. And in design thinking and innovation that comes from within is really all about your ability to transcend and overcome those fears that have had you stagnated to preventing you from taking the next step. And I'll continue to talk about this, but I'll let Angela chime in.
As soon as you said design thinking and understanding that in the kitchen, I immediately started thinking about the movie The Founder and how the McDonald's brothers had designed a way to make the perfect hamburger. And they designed it in different spaces where each person played a part in putting the hamburger together. If it was putting the ketchup or the mustard on it, or the top of the bun or the bottom of the bun. It was so interesting because it was something that they perfected later on. And that's when perfection starts to seem like the standard, when really it was just a polished version of what someone took as a journey. And which is interesting in itself because that's exactly what it is. So I agree, Emmanuel, that when you look at design thinking, it's about innovation. It's not even really about technology, and it's definitely not necessarily an invention. Innovation is about improving on something that already exists. Technology, however, can make you feel like the time is much shorter, which I think even in relationships, but definitely in business, it can be a little bit confusing, especially to the onlooker, because they don't see all the years of hard work, all the mistakes, all the late nights. They don't see any of that. And technology itself, we know that is something that you have to constantly improve upon. You don't get it right the first time. And I'm sure we have plenty of stories that we can share when we use technology in our business that has not been right the first time out the gate.
Yes, because design thinking and technology evolved. And one of the things I think a lot of people don't realize is that a big part of design thinking and innovation and technology is resistance, is your ability to fight through adversity. Because if you didn't have the thing that was holding you back or the things that caused you to be afraid, then you wouldn't be able to grow. I'll give you an example. We as human beings, there's two types of fear. There's primordial fear and there's psychological fear. Primordial fear is our ability to survive, our instinct ability to survive. And back when in the primitive days, that created the ability to be creative, design thinking, innovation as a result of our ability to be able to survive. We had to get clothes, we had to put shoes, we had to eat. That fear, that instinctive fear, primordial fear, created innovation. But the psychological fear that we're dealing with stagnates innovation, in my opinion. And it stagnates innovation because it is something that we are thinking that is not happening. It's psychological, and it is the pain of the past. We stuck there. And the fear of the future. We stuck there. And if we're stuck in the pain of the past, it's going to prevent us from taking that next step because we're going to get trapped in our conditioned pattern habits and we're going to stay stuck. But if we are afraid of the fear of the future, is going to also prevent us from being stuck. So design thinking and innovation requires your ability to be present in the present moment and to be able to step outside of your comfort zone. How do you step outside your comfort zone? By creating space. This is the space in our toolkit that we are encouraging people to be able to bring that dimension into their lives so that they can align themselves in their creative process, which is the design thinking, which is meditation. And so, as entrepreneurs, whether we realize it or not, the friction that prevents us from trying to figure out how do we pay our bills? How do we improve this process? How do we keep up with the industry? How do we use technology? That friction is a part of design thinking and innovation.
When you talk about creating space, that is important because a lot of the worry around innovation comes from trying to get it right from the beginning. First time out the gate, you want to have it right. So we don't wait until we have everything perfect, but instead we move, even knowing that we might have to make adjustments later on.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example of me personally when it comes to innovation and design thinking through friction, innovation and design thinking through going through adversity. And this is not even in entrepreneurs, because I can give you a lot of examples of that. But this is a fun example. I'm a box. I used to box. And my dad used to be my trainer. My brothers, I had two other brothers that used to box with us. And we spent 6, 8 months in a basement training, design thinking, learning how to jab, learning how to get away from punches, learning how to position ourselves, getting in shape, and things of that nature. And I thought, ooh, I've been doing this for 8 months. I've been in the basement boxing my brothers, but I haven't really boxed any other people. I thought I was Sugar Ray Leonard. So I'm thinking when I go to the gym, I'm just going to be Sugar Ray Leonard. So Dad, let us go to the gym so I can get in the ring and be Sugar Ray Leonard. We got into till we went to the gym, and my dad being the crazy person that he was, I'm like 15, 16. So he put me in a ring with this 21, 22-year-old semi-pro who've been boxing for many years and had muscles coming out of his neck all over the place. So my dad put me in a ring with this guy, and his name was Hurley. They call him Hurley because he liked to go home early because he always knocked people out. And he had this crazy right hand. So I'm in a ring. Now we're talking about design thinking, we're talking about innovation, and we're talking about the friction that is required in order for us to get over these barriers to improve and evolve as an individual. So I'm in the ring with this guy, and this guy is hitting me with like right hands that was like, I said to myself, if I don't do something, this guy is really going to kill me. So between getting hit with these right hands and hearing my father scream, this is where design, this is where design thinking and innovation evolve. So I so happened to say, look, if I don't do something, this guy's going to kill me. So I was able to slip in and keep my eyes open. And when I did, I saw how open this guy was and how much I could take advantage of that opportunity. And so I was able to slip in. And from that point on, my whole way of boxing changed. I went from being that guy that is trying to figure it out, the innovation, the design thinking, to being able to having a world champion, Emmanuel Stewart. I mean, everybody was preparing me for the Olympics. And so I went from being in the gym with just semi-pros and just average fighters, as I evolved through design thinking and innovation, I got to the point of being able to deal with world champions on a daily basis. So when it comes to innovation and creating space, my thing is that the space that we create through meditation and the friction that we deal with is a part of the evolution of who we become as individuals. If we have the courage to stand in there and keep stepping outside of our comfort zone and keep being persistent.
You gave a perfect example that innovation doesn't reward waiting. It rewards taking action. You had to take action, a different action, even listening to your corner coach or what you need to do so that you were not harmed during that boxing match. So I'm sure it wasn't a match, right? So you were just,
It was a workout. It was a
okay. So,
gym
okay.
workout, and it was a part of learning, innovation, and design thinking. That's for sure.
All right. But you said something. You don't have to have all the answers to move forward. You just need enough clarity to try, learn, and adjust. So when you opened up your eyes finally, you were able to adjust and make a different decision.
And
That's important in innovation.
and then what I corner that by saying design thinking transfer into design doing. So you got to do the thinking and the meditation and create space for innovation to come through. But at the same time, you have to be doing as well.
Yeah, because most of your worries won't be solved by thinking more. You got to take action. So, action and get real feedback instead of assumptions. So you got real feedback from your dad. He told you to open up your eyes. You got to find out what actually works. So after you opened up your eyes, you took an action. So it's not just good theory. You took an action. And you had to build some confidence by gaining experience. You're no longer at home in the basement practicing, you're in the ring right now. So it wasn't about being perfect. You had to gain that experience to be better. So innovation is exciting. It also means that you persevere. So perseverance is important to innovation as well.
Absolutely.
All right. So most ideas don't work perfectly the first time. You try them. Some of them don't work the second, third time, fourth time. But what's rewarding is when it actually works. So usually outsiders, they see when things are nice and shiny and everything seems like it's perfect. Again, they don't see all the hard work that went into getting it done. You could give some examples even with STEAM technology and how we have innovated, we've taken action, we've made adjustments because we learned, and then we made some corrections because that was the best next step to do.
Yeah. I mean, even in our development of our patent pending steam technology, we went from steam cleaning vehicles, and which we still do, to steam cleaning water. Steam cleaning water so that people all over the world can now have clean water. So how did that happen? I don't even know how it happened, but it happened. But I know how it happened. But it happened through our ability to try to keep these steamers going for our franchisees, being frustrated with them breaking down, and just being able to roll our sleeves up and just get in there and make sure that all of our franchisees had the equipment that they needed in order for them to be a successful franchise owner. And in that process, in that frustrational process, because we had clients in other countries that was training us to develop these steamers to make sure that they work. But in the process of that, we came up with an ability to steam clean water in a way where it removes impurities, bacteria, viruses that can make sure that people have clean water in these portable units. So that is just an example of our ability to maintain our client base. But then at the same time, we saw how the world was changing. We saw how the industry was changing, and we was able to come up with a creative idea that is setting us on another whole trajectory in the future because we know that water is the new currency. You can live without money, but you can't live without water. And due to global warming and climate change, water has now become a commodity for trade on the stock exchange. So we are now preparing for that journey as we look forward to the future. But then at the same time, we're still doing this business that we've been doing for the last 20 years as well.
And that's why preservation is important. It keeps you going when things slow down and you're not quite sure what your next move is. It also keeps you excited about moving forward. In business, sometimes you can get stagnated because you don't see things moving as fast as you would like. They're moving slow. And for that reason, you may get discouraged, but keep on persevering, which is one of our core values. We think that it's important. So, innovation isn't just about the big idea, it's being willing to keep on improving it. Real progress takes time. Remember that. Breakthroughs often comes when you've tried earlier and failed, but you didn't give up. You kept on going until you figured it out. Misses and mistakes, they aren't signs to give up. So think of it as feedback. Sticking with it, that helps you get it done. So you don't build confidence by getting it right just once. You gain by trying it, making changes, and trying it again. And we do that in every aspect of our business and technology and marketing and relationships. All of that is important for us to stay ahead of the game. Right, Emmanuel?
Yes, absolutely. And I will say this, perseverance and to continue to move on have everything to do with your passion. It has everything to do with why you're doing what you're doing. It has everything to do with how you do what you do. It has everything to do with the enthusiasm in terms of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing. And it has everything to do with the joy of why you're doing what you're doing. So when you align whatever it is that you're doing with those qualities from a place of creating space through design thinking and coming up with the innovation that is required in order for you to improve and or enhance whatever it is that you're doing. And on the top of that, you're serving humanity by helping other people. I say that you're living on purpose.
All right, so we're excited to introduce our guest. Heather is a trained pastry chef and owner again of Crazy Cakes Aholics. And somehow she still finds time to mentor young bakers and give back to the community. She's also a micro business award winner and 50 companies to watch. She was voted best of weddings by the Knot 3 years in a row, which doesn't happen by accident. Hello, Heather.
Hey there. How are you guys?
Hi. Wonderful. Heather, thank you for joining us. We're so glad that you were able to be here with us.
Yes, it's very exciting to be here.
We're excited as a 50 Companies to Watch awarded in 2018. So to think that was many years ago is always
Wow.
wonderful to see companies that are right there at that point where you are on your way. I see it already. I feel it in you. So take us back to the beginning. What made you decide to start Crazy Cake?
Yes, I always knew that I wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to be my own boss. And I actually went to college for that. And then I was inspired by the Food Network television shows, especially Cake Boss. So that made me want to be my own cake boss. My first meaningful project was a grand 3-tier cake covered in fondant for my grandmother's memorial, decorated in butterflies for her. And I'll never forget it. So since then, I've just been known as the person to make all of the beautiful, amazing cakes. And that's what really started Crazy Cakeaholics. I can take any idea, any theme, and make it memorable for your life's events.
That is fantastic. And again, they look delicious. So I want to know a little bit about you decided to be bold, both in flavor and design. So how did culinary school shape the way you innovate today? Or did it come from a different inspiration?
Culinary school came from me wanting to broaden my horizons, learn more about flavor profiles and how everything really works, because I am all about the bold design. I want it to be beautiful on the outside. And so I just am always looking to take myself to the next step further. And so going to culinary school really helped with that. After 15 years in the hospitality industry, I was ready to take the step and be my own boss and open up Crazy Cakeaholics full time. So no longer a hobby, full-time business, and I love it.
Well, Heather, I am just so proud of the accomplishments that you've made and being an entrepreneur. Could you just tell me a little bit about the culture of you growing up when you was a little girl and how the family coming together on Thanksgiving and different holidays or even Sundays or just during dinner time. How did that play a role in you having a passion and desire to bake cakes? Because the way that I see it is that you enjoy making people happy. You enjoy through your food making people feel good. And I'm trying to figure out, where did that passion and desire come from? And could you make that connection when you were as a young girl in terms of the type of culture that you was raised around, or maybe a grandmother or some family member that had inspired you?
Yeah, I grew up knowing all the family members always baked and made desserts, and you all come together and bring what you can do best, your favorite dish, to the family gatherings. I specifically had an aunt that made really cool SpongeBob cakes, Hello Kitty cakes, anything that you could think of. So I remember her doing a version of that. And one of my funniest memories is being at home with my dad, and we would be making our own box cake, and we would always get to lick the spoon. And that transferred into licking the whole bowl full, and so it's just funny now that this is my career, and I make cakes and I get to eat all the cake mix that I want.
Okay, really, do you eat all the cake mix after?
Heather, I remember there was a time when my mom used to make cakes and everybody had their spoon waiting to get the bowl so that after she finished making the chocolate and all, whatever the food that was left, the icing that was left, we used to tear that up. So I
Yes.
can relate to that.
And my children definitely do this now too. They know they can never be in the kitchen when I'm working on orders, but they came right down at the end and say, "What's left? What can I pipe with? What can I try? What did you do today?"
Love it. That keeps the whole family involved, which is great. So, Heather, let's talk again about winning the Micro Business Award. It's an incredible milestone, of course, for your business, for you, etc. You said during our pre-interview chat that it validated that creativity and hard work behind every cake, and it inspired you to push the boundaries of innovation. We love more details, please.
Yes. I was so excited when I was nominated for that award. And sometimes I'm still surprised. I'm thinking, is this really me? Did I do this? Do I deserve this? So walking that stage really did validate that, yes, you are worth it. Your business is recognizable. You are doing meaningful work for the community. And so that was just so special. And now it just has that much more pushed me. What can I do next? Where do I take this? If I won this award, what does that mean next? And how do I grow from this? So it's constantly just spinning in my brain. What can I do next?
All right. Innovation and experimenting go hand in hand. So, what does experimenting actually look like for you day to day?
Experimenting is different for me every day. Sometimes I don't know the orders or the events that I'll be taking each week. So I'm kind of being innovated every single week. And I come into the kitchen and I say, what is the event? How can we make this creative for them? What different flavors can we play with? And can we tailor this to this particular event? And so I have a lot of fun with it. And every order is a different flavor, a different filling, a different theme.
You probably do a lot of testing. Yeah, we talked about eating out of the bowl, but you do a lot of testing and designs behind in the scenes for every design that you do. Tell us a little bit more about when that creativity hits and how you start to design. Do you put it on paper or do you just get right to baking?
You'll usually see me down here with pen and paper and calculator in hand because I'm constantly adjusting. I can make something for one person or I can make it for 200 people. And then I have to determine how many recipes, how many times I have to quadrupleize that or expand that. So I'm constantly experimenting with different ways to present it as well. One cookie may look different at this event than it does the next event. So you always see me with my pen and paper, adjusting recipes, changing the theme, changing the colors.
You know, your work takes perseverance. How do you keep motivated despite the time that you have to put into creating something new for your client?
It does always feel like this is the hard route, and I feel like that also motivates me because I choose this. I show up every day to put my best effort in, and my kids keep me motivated. They see how hard mom works downstairs, and they portray it in all of their play and activity. They host their own little farmers markets. They're making their own cakes. My daughter's been baking cakes since she was a year old. So I persevere and I go for the next big thing. And I just want to show everyone else that they can do that as well.
Year old.
Well, Heather, I'm just so impressed with your artistic ability and your creativity because I look at you as an artist. And as we talk about design, thinking, innovation, I know you had a kitchen built and that took creativity, that took designing because of the way you built, the way you cook, what you bake, how you bake. That's one point that I'm wanted to get more information about. But the other side of it is your ability to relate with your husband and what kind of role does he play in your creativity and in the innovation of your daily entrepreneur journey because it's a collective effort.
It definitely is. Yes. I've been with my husband since high school. We're high school sweethearts for over 20 years now. So he definitely has a big role in everything that I do. And I started this kitchen on one countertop in one cupboard upstairs in my home. And I really had to think, how do I expand this? How do I move on to that next step? And I really was innovative with this because yes, a bakery and a storefront would be amazing, but it doesn't align with my lifestyle at the moment. So I had to get creative and I made my own space and we created a fully licensed commercial space within our home. It has all of the credentials. I'm ServSafe certified, and it's just been really great to create it from the ground up. Put all the refrigeration units, the ovens, the countertops, make it a space that can truly grow. And whether or not my husband's ready for it or not, he is my first full-time employee. He is down here doing the dishes. He is doing supply pickups. He does all of the heavy lifting. And he's just waiting for that day that he can really be my full-time employee. So he's already working his way up to it.
I love it. I love it. It's wonderful to work with your spouse, but make sure you have separation. There's date time
Yes.
too. But anyway, I'm sure you've already figured that out. All right. So you're deeply involved in your community, from mentoring young bakers to workshops and school events. Why is this important to you?
I just love sharing the creativity and showing what you can do. And I often volunteer at my children's school when they have career days and showing the different career options and showing a woman chef in their pink chef coat and showing you all of the different options that there are for kids. So I go in and I show them all the utensils we use, how to decorate. We just decorated cookies at their career festival this last week. So it's just really good. They love being inspired. Their eyes light up. They come to me with a specific goal. They want to learn how to make macarons. They want to frost cupcakes. They want to make a cake for their dad's birthday. So I always say yes, and it's so fun.
That has to be fun.
Well, one of the things, Heather, that you said that kind of sparked my ear when we was talking, you said there's always an opportunity to celebrate. You said, there's not just one particular season that I focus on, even though those seasons may have heavy demand, but there's always a reason to celebrate. And what that tells me is the joy of being, is the joy of you using your gifts and your talents to serve and to make other people feel happy. So is every day a celebration to you when you wake up in the morning, or how does that work?
It does feel like a celebration, and I feel like I live through everyone else. They get to tell me their celebrations and their biggest moments in life and what's more meaningful and important to them. And like I said, my very first cake was for my grandma's memorial, so it's not always good. It can be for other reasons too, and it still brought people together, made people smile, say, "Look at that. Look at what she's done. Look how much she cared." And so that's just really important to me. And a lot of the times, we have birthday cakes for 96-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 70s. So I love just hearing what we're celebrating and who we're celebrating.
Yeah. So Heather, how do you maintain consistency? What I heard you say is you have your pen and paper and your calculator. So if it's small, large, you can make those adjustments. How do you maintain consistency?
In our busy season, I definitely stick to a schedule, and we're constantly going over our daily production list, what we're working on, where our orders are going, where we're delivering. So I just keep going, usually one day at a time. That's always my motto, is just one day at a time. I'll think about tomorrow when I get there.
Yeah.
So Heather, do you have like a team, or are you in the kitchen by yourself doing it all? And you kind of have a way of knowing if I'm gonna cook for 50 people, or if I'm gonna bake for 50 people, or if I'm gonna bake for 100 people. How do you know how much to mix together to get the right product to make it taste well, so because you're cooking for either so many people or so little people.
Keep in mind, her husband is her tea.
Okay.
Usually it will just be me down in the kitchen. So I really liked when you talked about meditating and being in your own space and being creative. A lot of late nights, it's just me down here and the dead silence, no radio, no TV, and I am just focused on my work. After winning the Micro Business Award, I did learn the importance of having a team and having an impact on the Michigan economy. So I did expand and have some kitchen help, some dishwashers, some baking assistants this year. And that really opened my horizons that it doesn't only have to be me doing all of this. So we are really expanding this year and we're going to have a full team helping us.
Well, let's talk about lessons from the kitchen. So the kitchen teaches a lot of lessons, I know, like sanitation, precision, trial and error. What advice would you give someone just starting out?
Yes, sanitation is always my first one. My little kids, they know you always have to wash your hands. You touch your hair, you wash your hands. You touch your face, you wash your hands. They can't be down here on client orders. They can only get things afterwards. But it's so important to be safe and food safe in the kitchen. So that's always my first lesson when I bring in decorators is to teach them that. And then trial and error. And you never know until you make something. Yeah, a lot of it is trial and error. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to decorate until the moment the piping bag is in my hand and I pipe it and I take it back off if I don't like it or I try again. And when I'm adjusting quantities to my recipes, I take notes on everything. And if this makes 1 dozen, the next time I need to make 6 dozen, I can easily adjust that. I trial and error with packaging a lot. I always like to experiment new things.
So, Heather, have you ever made a mistake and it ended up being a successful situation? Like you made it, like I'll be thinking about, you mix my peanut butter with your chocolate. You
Oh,
mix my
wow.
chocolate with my peanut butter. Now you got Hershey, what is it called? Whatever,
Reese
a
cup.
Reese cup. So have
Yes.
you ever made mistakes and ended up coming up with something like
I have definitely made mistakes in the kitchen before. Like I said, in one of my very first farmers markets, and I was going to make the cake and the cheesecakes, and you always taste the batter. And I went to go taste it, and there was no sugar in it. How do I forget to make something with no sugar? So I've definitely learned then just to taste everything. And then the good thing about baking and being in the pastry world, everything that you make is going to taste good. And whether or not if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, you can mix and match things and you can come up with a whole new creation. If I've ruined a batch of cupcakes, I'll just crumple them up and I'll put them into a cake pop.
Well, that's really good because that's the difference between Angela and I, but I think that's what makes us a good match. Angela is so organized and this supposed to belongs here and this belongs in this aisle, but I'm really messy. I can mix everything up and just come up with something creative or whatever. And so I like the fact that you have that both sides, that creative side where you are not afraid to mix and match, but then at the same time can be so structured and organized to make sure things don't get cross contaminated.
Yes.
Heather, he just said something that was all on another level. As a professional chef, yes, she's creative, but she knows her craft, so she knows what it takes to
I will
keep
tell you,
that
it is
creative
always
end goal
messy.
in mind.
Everything we do makes a mess and then you just clean it up and start again.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what's one mistake beginners should expect to make?
To not have all the answers. You want to start from the beginning and get it all right, but you don't have all the answers yet. 15 years ago, this was just my basement, and I said, one day this is going to be my kitchen. And for 10 years, it was a storage unit. And I wouldn't have believed it back then, and now we made it happen.
Yeah.
But thank you for saying that because that resonated with me. And I think that's going to resonate with me and Angela together.
Okay, he wants a reason to be messy, but it's okay, Heather. You're giving us a little bit of therapy, so I appreciate that. So Heather, what is one habit that separates you as a professional pastry chef now and when you were doing it as a hobby?
I have more meaning to it now. I have more drive. I'm not just waiting for the customer to come to me and ask them to make something. I am thinking outside the box, saying, what can I make from them? How can I be more a part of the community? How can I get my products into other businesses? So I am just constantly in go mode.
Got it. So being a part of the community is important. I know we talked about this earlier, but what I've heard from other entrepreneurs, particularly in Northern Michigan, is that it's a tight-knit community and they support one another. So tell us a little bit more about your role in the community.
Yeah, so when I licensed my business, I first wanted to kickstart and go for the farmers markets to get my business in front of the people and down in the community. Because, like I said, most times it's just me in my kitchen, and a lot of people have to come find me. So I wanted to get out and I wanted to be present and in front of them. And I actually had an interview with a community leader who wrote an interview about me. And one of his questions stuck out to me. He said, "How are you involved in the community?" And I came up with a couple of examples, but I wasn't really happy with my answer. So that really got me thinking, outside of just being a business owner and trying to make a sale, what impact do I have with the community? So I have definitely made a conscious effort to volunteer at the schools, to host decorating classes, to do the events downtown and do anything I can and participate with the local businesses. And then I've learned that we collaborate more and it helps everybody out in the long run.
Yeah, that is wonderful.
Well, I tell you this, Heather, one of the things that we've done, I mean, we don't bake or anything, but we had a relationship with the 7th precinct, which was the police department. And we used to send them donuts on Fridays. You will be surprised how much they appreciate donuts on Friday and how much more that they will support you when it comes to certain things like that. It was a kind gesture. It was a small gesture, but we was able to build great relationships with those guys.
Yeah, I actually made my own project this
So have
winter and I did a 10 Oh, sorry. I did my own project this winter
No,
and
go
I
ahead, go
did
ahead.
10 days of shopping local for local businesses. And I shopped all around local businesses for my Christmas presents and I made videos and I shared all about them. Nothing about it was my business. I just wanted to support local and shop with them. And that started a lot of relationships that I didn't know existed. So I met a lot of new faces and made a lot of new connections.
That's great.
That's fantastic. You just brought something to mind because you took video and sharing other businesses. So social media and digital tools can make everything look like it's fast and flawless. And also it puts you out in the community. So great innovation and success, while it doesn't happen overnight, being in the community definitely gets you connected, would you say?
It does, yes.
Yeah. Which is great. And people support people that they like. So it's always good to have a sweet treat
Yes.
that you can share.
And you guys mentioned the importance of technology, and that has been huge for my business. I solely run my business from my phone. I went to culinary school online through my phone. I make all of my marketing online. I've designed my own website. So I would not be where I'm at without technology, without social media, without the community following along.
Great. Let's just do this. I'm going to ask you in a minute how can people get in touch with you. But when you say you use social media, I mean, do you actually film when you're going through the decorating of a cake?
I
Tell
do.
us about it.
I've made a few cake decorating videos, cookie decorating, cupcakes. I've filmed me piping on a wedding cake and delivering wedding cakes. You see me running and delivering my fourth wedding of the day on a Saturday afternoon in June. So I try my best to be on social media. It gets a little harder in the summertime because I'm either piping bag in hand and not in phone.
Yes, yes. Well, Heather, it has been fantastic talking with you. We know that when people on the outside look at you now, they just see the polished results. They see, all right, success has happened, and may even say that success happened overnight, but perfection can start and feel like the standard. So really, it is about innovating, learning, and redoing it over and over again. So progress takes time, effort, and perseverance, which you have shown that you have. That's the part we don't see online, though. They don't see all of that. And that's why real progress is important and being able to share with something like this is important. So I want to thank you for participating. Thank you to our listeners for listening. Heather has some great things to share.
Make. You know, Heather, I first of all want to thank you for being you and pursuing this goal in this career because in the world that we're living in, a kind gesture, a kind gesture can be the difference between life and death because we don't know what a person is going through. And for you to share yourself and be a light where people can look up to see that there may be some hope, or I can feel better, or I can step outside of my depression or my thoughts for just this sweet treat, that is really making a difference. And I just want you to understand and keep that in mind that wherever you go, you bring joy And that's very important to what we need in this world at this time.
Thank you so much for that. That almost brought tears to my eyes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Heather, so when you start shipping, we're going to sign up so you can I mean, we're not far. We
Yes.
probably can come get it. We're probably in northern Michigan, close to where you are. Anyway, but I will tell you this. I am looking forward to tasting those beautiful designs because, I mean, we taste with our eyes. And I am definitely already full on one of your crazy cakes. So thank you. So, Heather, with that, how can our guests and listeners get in touch with you?
Yes, you can get in touch with me online through Facebook or Instagram at Crazy Cakeaholics. You can also find me at www.crazycakeaholics.com. And you can also reach me by phone or email.
Well, this episode has definitely inspired me. It's made me hungry, so I'm going to have to go get something to eat. So, we're building on the business and the business of perseverance and understanding that innovation is not an overnight success. It is something that definitely takes time. And it's wonderful that you don't get bored because you understand that innovation is one of those things where you're going to try to keep on improving. So, Heather, thank you so much for joining us today. So, until next time. I'm Angela Williams.
And Emmanuel Williams.
More details, please.
And I will say this before we exit the show. You don't get out of life what you want. You get out of life what you are. And what you are is what you think, what you feel, what you believe, your personality, and how you and your reaction. So that is important to understand that you are in control of your destiny. It's all about how you apply yourself to life.
Thank you for listening to More Details, Please, presented by Emmanuel and Angela Williams from Detail Experts, the mobile steam cleaning company dedicated to protecting the planet. Be sure to subscribe to More Details, Please on your favorite podcast platform. You can also follow us on Facebook at Detail Experts and visit detailexperts.net. That's DETAILXPERTS.net. We hope you've gained some valuable insights from our conversations today. Stay driven by curiosity, and we'll bring you more details next time.